Have you ever sat in silence, knowing you need to pray but your heart is too heavy to speak? What if the greatest enemy you're facing isn't someone outside, but something within? Today I want to take you on a short but powerful journey, to a place where peace meets presence, and fear has no room to breathe. There have been days, quiet ones, where my soul felt loud, overwhelmed, anxious, unable to form the words my heart wanted to scream. I would reach for prayer, but the words wouldn't come. That's when I found myself in Psalm 27. And friend, I didn't just read it, I held on to it like a lifeline. David, the writer of this psalm, speaks of enemies and battles. But here's the thing, the enemies he describes, in my life, they didn't wear armor. They wore different names: discouragement, anxiety, fear, self-doubt. And maybe you know exactly what I mean. We often imagine enemies as external threats, people, situations, systems. But more often than not, the fiercest battles are fought within, in the quiet of our thoughts, in the spiral of our worries, in the weight of a morning that already feels too heavy. And yet Psalm 27 begins not with despair, but with this bold declaration: "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Just imagine saying that, not as a theory, but as a truth you dare to believe even on your worst day. Light, salvation. Not just poetic words, but a promise, a hand reaching for yours in the dark. So today, I'm not here to preach. I'm not here with 3 steps to fix your soul. I'm simply here to invite you into a sacred pause, to read or even just listen as Psalm 27 speaks into your spirit. And while David speaks of foes and battlefields, I want to invite you to look at your own life. What enemy are you facing today? Maybe it's the creeping fear of failure. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's the pressure to always have it all together when you feel like you're barely hanging on. Whatever it is, Psalm 27 invites us to do one thing: to bring it before God, to cast it down, to stop carrying it alone. So wherever you are, right now I encourage you to open your heart. Not perfectly, not with polished words, but honestly, fully. Let this be a moment where you don't have to figure everything out. Just be present. Let go, even if just for a moment. And as we begin, reading this psalm together, remember this: you're not alone. You are seen, and the God who walked with David through the valley still walks with you right here, right now. Let's begin. We've just reflected on David's fearless trust in God. But now, Psalm 27 takes us even deeper, not into battlefields, but into the inner sanctuary of the heart. In verse 4, David makes a surprising shift. He doesn't ask for victory, wealth, or power. He asks for one thing: that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. One thing. Can you imagine having just one desire? For David, that desire is presence. God's presence. Not just a visit on Sundays or a whispered prayer during crisis, but to live, to breathe, to abide in it daily. This longing, this holy hunger, is something many of us feel but don't always know how to express. We crave peace. We search for beauty in chaos. We want shelter that doesn't crumble when life storms in. And David says, "I find it in you, God." In verse 5, he continues, "In the day of trouble, he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me and set me high upon a rock." There's something poetic, even cinematic about this image. Being lifted above the noise, above the fear, placed on solid ground by hands stronger than our own. Then in verse 6, that quiet trust erupts into praise. "I will sacrifice with shouts. Of joy I will sing and make music to the Lord." You see, gratitude isn't a response to perfect conditions. It's the overflow of a rescued heart, a heart that knows where it's been and who brought it through. But even the strongest believers have moments of desperation. In verse 7, David cries out, "Hear my voice when I call, Lord. Be merciful to me and answer me." You can hear the ache in those words. Faith doesn't erase need, it transforms how we express it. Verse 8 reveals his heart's response. "My heart says of you, seek his face. Your face, Lord, I will seek." That's not religion talking. That's relationship. A soul reaching out, wanting to be known and to know. And what if you've been rejected, abandoned, left behind? David has been there too. In verse 10 he writes, "Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me." What a powerful comfort, that even when human love fails, divine love holds firm. Then, with humility, David prays for guidance in verse 11. "Teach me your way, Lord." He knows his path is not always clear. He needs wisdom not just to survive, but to walk uprightly in a world full of traps and noise. He acknowledges his enemies again in verse 12, but holds on in verse 13 to something stronger. "I remain confident. Of this, I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living." Not just someday, but here, now, in this life. And finally, verse 14, a pause, a whisper. "Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart and wait." Sometimes that's the hardest part, waiting, but it's also where trust grows deepest. So, friend, wherever you are today, whatever you're facing, let Psalm 27 be your reminder. You are not forgotten. You are not alone, and the goodness of God is still ahead. And now, as the words of Psalm 27 settle in our hearts, I want to invite you into a quiet moment, a sacred pause where we don't just reflect, but respond. Let's turn this reflection into prayer. Not just words we repeat, but truth we breathe in and hold close. Jesus and my light, my salvation, my fortress. Those aren't just titles, they're lifelines. When the darkness feels close, when fear tries to cloud my vision, I speak your name, and light breaks in. You are the one who pulls me out of the shadows and reminds me that I was never walking alone. You are my shelter when the world feels like it's closing in, my anchor when my thoughts are spiraling, my rest when I'm weary, verve pretending I have it all together. In a world full of shifting ground, you are the rock that never moves. And like David, there is one thing my soul longs for, just one, to dwell in your presence. Not occasionally, not when life is easy, but every single day, to stay close, to sit in the quiet and know that you are near, to wake up and know that before the chaos you are already there, before the battle you've already made a way. Lord, I don't want a life full of achievements without your presence. I don't want a full calendar and an empty spirit. What I desire most is you, just you, to gaze upon your beauty, to find peace not in what I can control, but in the grace I can't earn. Even when wickedness surrounds me, I will not fear. Not because I'm strong, but because you are. You hold power over every force that tries to shake me. No scheme, no voice, no shadow can stand against you. Psalm 27:4 says it best. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. That's not just a verse, it's my prayer, my anchor, my heartbeat. So right now, Lord, I lay down the weight I've been carrying. I release the fear, the anxiety, the pressure, and I choose to rest in you, to trust that you're not only my protector but my provider, not only my strength but my song. May your presence go before me, cover me and shape me. May I live not to chase after the things of this world, but to walk closely with you. And in every season, may I never forget. The safest place to be is near your heart. Amen. And as we continue this sacred journey through Psalm 27, having laid our hearts bare in prayer, we now shift from quiet reflection to bold, joyful praise. Because worship isn't just something we do when things are going well. It's the song we sing when we remember who God truly is. It's the celebration of His goodness even while we're still waiting. It's the sound of trust echoing through the middle of uncertainty. Psalm 95 captures this beautifully. It begins with an invitation, not a command. Come, let us sing. For joy to the Lord, let us shout aloud to the rock of our salvation. Not whisper, not hesitate, shout, loud, unfiltered, wholehearted joy. Why? Because the Lord is not a distant idea. He's a rock, steady, solid, unmoving, the kind of foundation that can hold your weight on the heaviest days. The psalm continues, let us come before Him with thanksgiving and extol Him with music and song. Music has a way of bypassing logic and going straight to the heart, doesn't it? Whether it's the soft hum of a morning hymn or a full-on praise anthem in the car, it reminds us that worship is more than melody. It's surrender. It's lifting our eyes above the chaos to see the King who still reigns. And what kind of king is he? For the Lord is the great God, the great King above all gods. He's not one voice in a crowd. He's the author of the story, the maker of mountains, the shaper of seas. In his hand are the depths of the earth, and the mountain peaks belong to him. Think about that. The same God who formed the oceans, the same God who painted the sky. He holds your heart with the same care. Nothing escapes his hand, nothing surprises him. And yet, he still wants you close. That's what verse 6 brings into focus. Come, let us bow down in worship. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. There's something powerful about physically humbling ourselves. To kneel, to bow. It's a reminder. He is God, and we are not. And yet he doesn't rule with distance, he leads with intimacy. Because verse 7 tells us something stunning. For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture, the flock under his care. Let that settle in your heart. We are not just followers, we are sheep tended by a shepherd who knows each of us by name, who walks with us, who calls us back when we wander. So today let your praise be full, let your worship be honest. Whether whispered in the quiet or sung aloud in your living room, offer it to the one who made you, knows you, and leads you still. Because he is worthy, not just for what he's done, but for who he is. And after lifting our hearts in praise, we return once more to the quiet truth that grounds everything. We are no longer walking in darkness. Not because we've figured it all out, not because life has suddenly become easy, but because his light found us. Have you ever thought about what it really means to be brought out of darkness? For me, it wasn't a dramatic moment. It was subtle, like slowly waking up from a heavy sleep. It was in the clarity that came after confusion, the peace that settled after a storm I thought would never pass. It was realizing, sometimes years later, that God had been guiding me through it all, even when I couldn't feel him. That's what grace does. It reaches into our chaos. It speaks into our silence. It lights the way, step by step. And so today, we say thank you, Lord, for the light, for not leaving us in the dark, for giving us more than just a second chance, for giving us a new identity. We're not just rescued people, we're redeemed people, called to reflect that same light into the world around us. But here's the thing. Light isn't just something we receive, it's something we live. It should be visible, not in flashy displays, but in our character, in the way we speak, in the way we treat people who can't offer us anything in return. It's in the tone we use when we disagree, in the decisions we make when no one's watching, in how we love the unlovable, forgive the unforgivable, and show up for those who feel forgotten. And I pray, God, that your light would shine through us in those quiet places where the world doesn't clap, but heaven leans in and smiles. Micah 7:8 says, "Though I have fallen, I will rise. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light." What a promise. Not that we won't fall, but that we won't stay down. Not that we won't face dark seasons, but that we'll never be alone in them. So maybe today you feel like you're sitting in that darkness. Maybe you've been trying to fake the light for everyone else while quietly feeling lost inside. Hear this. You are not forgotten. His light still reaches you, even now. Let that light change how you live. Let it heal what's broken, soften what's hard, and renew what's grown cold. And may we not just talk about the light, may we be the light in our homes, in our friendships, in every ordinary corner of our lives, because when we live lit by Christ, something changes, not just in us, but through us. So shine today, not perfectly, just faithfully. One small choice at a time. And as we come to the close of this reflection, I want to leave you with something simple, but deeply powerful. Don't just read Psalm 27, meditate on it. Let it linger in your mind, settle into your heart, and shape how you move through the world. This isn't just a poetic passage from an ancient king, it's a blueprint for courage, a compass for the soul. It begins with trust, it walks through fear, it kneels in worship, and it ends in hope. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? That's not a question David asks because he's fearless. It's a question he asks because he's faithful, because he knows who is walking beside him. That's the same truth available to you and me today. Psalm 27 invites us into something deeper than momentary comfort. It invites us into God's presence, into a life where we don't have to carry everything on our own. A life where the desire to be near God becomes more important than being in control. Where His presence becomes our peace, even when nothing around us makes sense. And this psalm also reminds us God's goodness doesn't depend on our circumstances. David was surrounded by threats, battles, betrayal, but he still believed he would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. That's bold faith. That's the kind of confidence we're invited to hold on to, not just when prayers are answered, but especially when we're still waiting. So maybe that's where you are right now, in the waiting. You've prayed, you've trusted, but the breakthrough hasn't come. Listen closely to how David ends the psalm. Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. That's not passive waiting, it's active. It's choosing to stay rooted when your feelings say run. It's choosing to trust when your mind is full of questions. It's choosing strength, not from yourself, but from the one who strengthens you. So today I challenge you. Let Psalm 27 become more than just a reading. Let it become your rhythm, your reminder, your anchor. When fear creeps in, speak, verse 1. When enemies rise up, whether real or within, remember verse 3. When your heart longs for something more, rest in verse 4. And when the waiting feels long and heavy, hold on to verse 14, because God is still good, He's still near, and He's still worth the wait. So if Psalm 27 has spoken to your heart today, if something in these words reminded you that you're not walking alone, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who might need a little light in their darkness. Maybe a friend, a family member, or someone quietly battling fears they've never spoken out loud. You never know what a simple click can do in someone else's life. And I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know which a verse from Psalm 27 speaks to you the most right now. Or tell me, how has God been your light in a difficult season? Every story you share helps build this community of hope, faith, and encouragement. If this message blessed you today, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you never miss a moment of peace and truth from God's Word. Until next time, stay rooted, stay hopeful, and above all, stay in His presence. You are seen, you are loved, and you are never alone.